All right, bro. I'm refreshing this page, bro. We finna see where we at. Oh, we got 43 likes, 45 people watching. All right. We chilling.
Good afternoon, Ash.
Can you join? You can.
Hi, Abe. How are
What's
you?
up, man? I'm good, bro.
What's up, man?
What's the deal? I gotta go use the bathroom. Can you start the conversation with Abe real quick?
I
I'll
bet.
start it, but I won't end it.
I heard that.
What's up, man? Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
How can we help you?
Okay, so the question is, why am I not Christian, right?
Yeah.
So the reason I'm not Christian is because I believe the Quran is the true word of God, and that Christianity is not, right?
Yeah. What makes you think
So
that the Quran is the true word of God?
because the Quran hasn't been changed, it's still the same. While and then also the um the Bible is written by multiple authors that were anonymous, that didn't even like they did like no one even knew who they were.
No
Most
one
of
knew
them
who
were,
they were.
yeah, they didn't.
So then how come when we look at who people said they were, they
Most of
all
their names
said
are
this, it was the same people?
no, that's not the thing. Most of their names were anonymous. They didn't know like the actual person.
You're saying they
They
didn't know
just
who they were, but whenever they tell us who they were, they all agree. So how can that be the case?
who's they?
Well, the people that were receiving these writings, the people that were reading them,
Okay,
people like
because
Ignatius of Antioch, Irenaeus of Lyons.
they're anonymous.
He just
So
gave you
then
their
why don't we see
names.
anyone say that they're anonymous in the first 3
Yeah,
centuries of Christianity?
people do say they're anonymous. What do you
In
mean?
the first 3 centuries of Christianity, can you point us to a single source or a single author that says we don't know who wrote these works?
So why do they say they're anonymous now?
Who? They say they're anonymous now. Okay, so
Yes, you can
modern
search it up.
scholars will say that the gospels are anonymous because within the gospels themselves, they don't explicitly mention who is writing this work because it's not mentioned within the text itself. That's the main thing that they use to show it's anonymous. But that's a weak argument because if they were truly anonymous, we wouldn't have universal agreement upon who the authors were external to the text.
Well, I mean, what evidence is there that they aren't anonymous and that they were actually known?
Yeah,
Uh,
so here. There's what he's trying to say is that the way that people today say that a work is anonymous is that if they didn't write their name in the body of the text, then technically by critical scholars, that's considered anonymous. But by that standard, most of the works that we have from the period of antiquity are anonymous. Most of the works that you wrote in school would technically be anonymous because your name probably isn't in the body of the text. But the way in which we know that someone wrote something is going to be by external attestation as well. So externally, we can see people saying who wrote these works very early on. And we see people like Irenaeus saying who wrote these works, Papias saying who wrote these works from very, very, very early on. And it's universally, unanimously attested. You never have anybody saying that, nah, Mark ain't write his gospel. Matthew ain't write his gospel. Or instead of Mark, it was James. No. Every single time you see somebody attributing authorship to the gospels, it is the same four authors because it was universally known very early on who wrote the gospels.
Okay, I have another question.
Do you understand
So,
that first?
yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
So, also, why do you guys believe Paul? Why do you guys believe that Jesus Christ came to him and what's it called? Gave him a message. Why do you guys believe that?
Well, we can see the transformation of Paul, right? Paul, out of his own mouth as well as the mouth of other disciples, understood Paul to be completely against Christianity. he has an experience which he claims to be with Christ that is also corroborated by people who are actual followers of Christ, and then he changed, right? So we have testimonies from people outside of Christ, as well as we can see the life of Paul. I mean, outside of Paul, as well as we can see the life of Paul, that he was one way before, he had an interaction, and he was another way the next, and he went to his death claiming that pretty much he had this interaction and it changed his life, right? So we can see from all of that that, oh, these people who are actually trustworthy, they attest to Paul, and Paul attests to himself, and if anything, his death, right, refusing to recant on the things that he saw and the things that he believes, shows that he truly believes that he has some sort of experience. So we can deem that reliable as well.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And then also, maybe I think I have one more question. Yeah. So why are there contradictions in the different books of the Bibles? Like some like Paul says one thing and then the other says something else. Why is that? Why is there differences?
So there's no contradictions. um there could be differences, but a difference doesn't necessarily mean a contradiction, right? Like, for example, if I sit here and I get into a car accident, right, and I say, oh, I was driving and I got into a car accident, and then you talk to Light, and Light says, oh yeah, Elijah was driving, I was with him, and we got into a car accident. Just because our testimonies are different doesn't mean they contradict, because I could just be talking about my point of view of me driving and I'm not talking about Light, whereas he's talking about the full situation, how me and him were both in the car, right? So
But like a lot of the time the testimonies like are actually completely different to the point where it can actually change the whole view of what actually happened.
like
Like
what?
take for example, when Jesus was getting crucified, there's I forgot the exact names, but like there were three different people or three different writers, right? That said three different things about Jesus' last words.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So why
So
why
none
is
of them,
that? Why does that happen? Why
yeah,
does that happen?
none of them say that, oh, this is Jesus's last word, right?
But
Uh
they're talking about Jesus' last words. It's like
yeah, they're his
I don't know.
last words because he's on the cross, he's dying, right? So, like, for example, when my grandmother said a lot of things as she was on her deathbed, right? That, like, and I could say, oh yeah, like, these were some of her last words, and some of her last words she said to me, like, this is the last thing that my grand said. She said that to me. Now, she also said something to my mom, and she said something to my brother as well, right? Or said something about my brother as well. These are all her last words. So what's
But it
being
was a public
recounted?
execution. It
Yeah,
was a public execution though.
what's being
So
recounted
everyone
is,
so they should have all had like the same account of what Jesus said. And then even if you're talking about recounting, wasn't the Bible like wasn't all parts of the Bible written under the guidance of God? So why would God allow them to have different testimonies and such that it actually changes the whole like significance of his
Because
whole death?
these testimonies, they're all true. None of them are false. None of them got what Jesus said wrong. It's just that Jesus said multiple things while he was about to die, and some of them recorded part of what he said, and others recorded the other part of what he said.
so with them
But
together we
still,
get the full picture.
weren't they were called as his last words? So
Okay, so
shouldn't
the
have been all the
text
same.
does not say Jesus' last words was so and so and so, and then the other book say Jesus' last words was so and so and so, and then those two differ. That's
Yeah.
not what the text says. The text
It was still
says
his
he
last
said
words though.
these
It's still
things
Here,
and then he passed
pull
away.
up the verse that you're talking about.
okay. Let me see if I can find it.
Go ahead. If I was back in my, I was finna put on some unreleased Kendrick Lamar that y'all don't know and just finna rap. But I'll just wait in silence. Y'all ain't ready for that. Who, me? Are you talking to Light?
Ain't no way.
Huh?
Nah, he in there talking to Light.
What do
Yeah,
you
you
what
too.
what?
Oh, never mind. God bless you too, Joseph. God bless you. Tire marks, finish line with a tire marks. When the relay start, I'm a runaway slave. Uh, Walking on water and running on waves. God, MC, I'm a God. You gotta see this. There been no eyes in me about how to see. I'm a block away. Tire marshals moving in. Marshmallows inside my pen. Sweet 16.
Press said you gotta watch
Sweet
Dune
16.
2. Dune 2. Like Dune as well.
I don't know. Yeah, Nate. Yeah, Nate, are you talking about the movie or the show?
You
Yeah, I'm
talking
talking
about the
about
first one or the second one? That's what I want to know.
both.
All right, so Matthew 27 and Mark 15:34.
You said Matthew what?
27:46.
Hmm.
There's a difference between that and also Luke 23:46.
And about the ninth hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, my God, why have you forsaken me?
So here, this is also one of the main problems I have with this verse.
No, no,
Why is
no.
he
Hold
saying
on.
my God? Why
Hold
is he
on.
saying
Hold
my
on.
God?
Hold on.
Okay,
Where does it say this was Jesus's last word?
I don't see it saying that, but
Okay,
it
so
was one of his last
that's what
words.
you were. If you see how you said it was one of his last words, that's correct, right? It was one of his last words. So these people who are reciting what Jesus's last words were, they're not contradicting each other. Do you see that now?
True, true.
Okay. So now do you wanna figure out why he says, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah, I want to know that.
Okay. Because this is in fulfillment of an Old Testament prophecy that comes about 1,000 years before Jesus, right? Look at how it starts out. This is Psalm chapter 22. You see how it starts out with, my God, why have you forsaken me?
Yep.
Yeah, so Jesus is bringing to the attention to the Jews at that time this psalm. You want to know why? Because in this
Why?
psalm, it talks about the crucifixion. Hundreds of years before crucifixion was ever even a thing, right? It says, I am poured out like water, or my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, it is melted from within my breast. My strength is dried up like a potsherd. My tongue sticks to my jaws. You lay me in the dust of death. For dogs encompass me, a company of evildoers encircle me. They have pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones. They stare and gloat over me. They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. This whole thing is about the crucifixion and everything, but right here is very obvious. And he's bringing into remembrance for them, this was written and now it's playing out.
Okay, got you. But it still doesn't like explain why is he saying my God, if he's God himself?
Yeah, well, what Christians believe is that like God is triune, that there are three persons, one essence. But you have to remember that he is quoting the psalm. So
I
he's
know, but if he was God and the psalm was revealed by God, wouldn't it still it would still refer to him as the Father or something, right?
that's who he's being called out to, the Father.
But why is he saying God? Because he himself also affirms he is God according to you guys.
Yeah. So when he's calling out my God, he's talking about the Father.
That's it's not like it's like that's like nitpicking. You can't like if
Hmm?
he's saying my God, he has to be referring to one person that has to be the only God because he's making himself seem not to be God. Because if he says my God, that means he himself isn't God and he's calling out to God.
No. So all the three persons are going to refer to one another as God because that's what they are. Like the Father refers to the Son as God. Um
When?
in Hebrews chapter 1. Well, he does it in the Psalms, but you can see it very clearly in Hebrews chapter 1. So, uh, in Hebrews chapter 1, it's talking about the Father, right? And it says, "But of the Son, he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. The scepter of rightness is the scepter of your kingdom." The Father, talking about the Son, literally calls him God.
In what though? Like the New Testament or the Old Testament?
Well, this verse is from the Old Testament. This is quoted from Psalm 45.
And this is what again?
Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. This is talking about the Son.
Your throne, O God, is forever and ever.
Yeah. You have loved
But there's
righteousness
no
and
mention. There's
hated
no mention of a son. There's no mention like
of a son in the Old
of the
Testament.
Trinity. There's no mention of the Trinity in the Old Testament.
Here.
That wasn't even a thing back then. The
Okay,
Trinity was introduced with the New Testament.
this is Proverbs chapter 30. It says, "I have not learned wisdom, nor have I knowledge of the Holy One. Who has ascended to heaven and come down?" Oh, I thought I was sharing my screen. Who has ascended to heaven and come down? Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has wrapped up the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? So this is God, right? Who has done all these things. What is his name and what is his son's name? Surely you know.
The Son is mentioned multiple times in the Old Testament. Like for like instances, like Moses and other prophets are called to be the Son of God,
This is
but
this is talking about
but they're not
this.
actually the Son of God as you believe in the as you believe Jesus is the Son of God.
No,
But
so in
multiple times in the
Proverbs,
Old Testament, the Son of God is like, you know,
no, so in
Son of God
Proverbs
could be
is
multiple people.
so in Proverbs it's talking about this eternal son. So as you read throughout Proverbs, you're gonna see um this figure, namely wisdom. Now Jesus is called the wisdom of God. And wisdom is with the Father before all creation, and he is there creating things as well. So you can see in Proverbs chapter 8 in the Hebrew, I'm not going to give you a full Bible study lesson, but in the Hebrew, it's talking about this father son sonship like relationship in the Hebrew that's very, very clear. Um, but when talking about pretty much the son, the wisdom, right? It says, "The Lord possessed me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts are old. Ages ago I was set up, at the first, before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills, I was brought forth. Before he had made the earth with its fields, or the first of the dust of the world. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew the circle of the face of the deep, when he made the firm," and he goes on. But it's talking about wisdom, which is the son, talking about how he's there before everything ever happens. So Moses is like,
So who's talking? Who's talking right now?
this is going to be like Jesus talking, like wisdom.
So then why is he talking about the Son if it's Jesus talking? If Jesus
No,
is
so
talking over there.
this is in Proverbs chapter 8, right? What I showed you was in Proverbs 30, and that's somebody else speaking by the name of Agar, I believe. Yeah, the words of Agar, the son of Jacob. And
Okay,
he's
got it.
saying, "Surely I am too stupid to be a man. I have not the understanding of a man. I have not learned wisdom, nor have I knowledge of the Holy One." And he's saying that I don't have knowledge of God. Who has ascended to heaven and come down, talking about God? Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has wrapped up the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, talking about God, and what is his son's name? Surely you know.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you
Mhm.
for clearing that up.
Any more questions?
Um, not really at the moment. I don't think so.
All right. Well, if you have any more questions, feel free to come back, bro. God bless you, man.
Thank you.